Welcome to the Tyneside Irish Cultural Society podcast with me, Michael McNally. Hi everyone, and welcome to our August podcast. Well, as summer draws to a close, we've got something to look forward to, the Tyneside Irish Festival. Earlier today, I spoke to one of our star performers, Máire ní Chathasaigh. Hi Máire, how are you doing?
Hi Michael, how are you? Nice to be here.
Well, you're saying it's nice to be here. You're somewhere else, far away. You're not in Ireland. You're in Spain, I believe.
Yeah, we're in Spain at the moment, just on holiday. So it's quite nice, just enjoying a bit of sunshine and swimming in seas that are not freezing cold. I was in Ireland last week.
All right.
I was still in it, mind you.
Do you swim in the sea? Do you do sea swimming at home? Fabulous. Yeah, I do too. I do it here in off South Shields, which is quite cold. It is. It's Cork. Is it Cork that you're from?
County Cork, yeah.
Yeah.
Cork.
You come from quite a dynasty of impressive musicians, I believe.
Yeah, we come from a musical family, and all our family are musicians. My two sisters are also professional musicians. So, and there's been music in my mother's family for a few hundred years, and musicians. And my father's family as well were very, they were all extremely interested in Irish music and in Irish culture in general, history and folklore and all that kind of thing as well. So I grew up very much steeped in all of that. Yeah.
How old were you when you picked up your first instrument?
6.
And what was the instrument? Was it piano?
Piano. Yeah, when I was 6, my mother started me on the piano, and then I started to play the fiddle when I was about 10, and I played the harp since when I was 11. I started playing the harp, and I also played the whistle and piano accordion and various things as well.
First performance, can you remember it? And can you describe how it felt?
My grandmother died when I was 3. And I remember singing for her on my birthday. I was 2. It was before my 2nd birthday, and I was actually singing "The Star of the County Down" to her. Oh. So that was my first little performance to my grandmother, and I still remember it. My mother tells me I could sing before I could walk. So that's nice. My mother was a great singer, fantastic singer. So yeah.
As you were growing up, you started performing quite regularly, I believe, and then you actually won All Ireland Championships in different when you were in your teenage years, I believe.
Yeah, well, first of all, under 14, then under 18, then senior. I won the senior All Ireland 3 times in succession. That was in the mid 70s. So and other competitions as well, But it was just part of what you did. So.
There's a word that's popped up about 4 times when I've been looking online, doing a little bit of research about your career, and the word is innovation. It's always there. Could you just explain why people would describe you as an innovative musician, performer?
Well, when I was growing up, I mean, the harp was something that people, generally speaking, was associated in the public mind with accompanying songs. And I loved to sing, and I was used to accompany myself singing and everything, but it wasn't really what I loved. What I loved was instrumental music, and that's what I wanted to play, was traditional Irish dance music, and there really was nobody else doing that at the time. So that sort of heavily ornamented traditional style, it was just absolutely nobody doing it. So basically I figured out ways of doing it myself. And since it was completely new, I mean, the old Irish harpers back in the 17th and 18th centuries, they didn't do that. They didn't play dance music that we know of today. But so there was no tradition of it, really. I mean, dance music was played by fiddles and flutes and accordions and stuff, but not by the harp. So when I started to do that, and I developed methods of playing ornaments in a traditional way, and developing an ornamented, authentically traditional style, but on the harp, it was the first time it had been done. So, and at that time, as I said, it wasn't possible to find anybody, myself, who played dance music on a harp, and now it's impossible to find any harp player who doesn't play dance music on a harp. So it's completely flipped around, which is rather nice, Yeah.
That's incredible. You played some, well, quite amazing gigs, actually. You've traveled all around the world. What's the best gig you've ever played?
Some amazing things we've done. Played at the Cork Opera House for the TG Car, which is the Irish language television station in Ireland. They have awards every year for Traditional Musician of the Year, and I was Traditional Musician of the Year in 2001. And the concert for that was held in the Cork Opera House, and that was a huge honour and a big night in my life. And then concerts that myself and Chris have done, I don't even know where to start. We did some amazing things. We've played several times in a huge kind of travelling folk festival called the Irish Folk Festival in Germany, and we played in like some enormous venues like the Tonhalle in Düsseldorf and the Saxophone in Berlin. All kinds of just prestigious venues, and I remember one extremely atmospheric, several very atmospheric concerts in medieval castles in Italy, and one in a place called Nijo Castle, which is in Kyoto, it was in this extraordinary place, and it was it was a whole evening which is basically curated by a very famous Japanese percussionist called Stomo Yamashita, and it was attended by all sorts of dignitaries, including the mayor of Kyoto in full traditional silk garment. It was sort of like a robe, and I still remember it. And he sort of bowed to us all in turn after the concert. And it was just amazing. It was such a beautiful occasion, and I still remember his robe, his silk robe. It practically stood out like an A-line skirt all by itself, and because the silk was so thick, it was pretty amazing. That was pretty amazing. Played at in another palace in Istanbul, an old Ottoman palace in Istanbul. There were harpists still there. So just an extraordinary variety of places, and one of the most atmospheric places I ever played was a tiny Byzantine church right down in the south of Italy in Calabria, up on the top of a hill, and it was covered in Byzantine frescoes, and it had no electricity.
Wow, that sounds incredible. So, wonderful stories.
And loads of churches and of all kinds, and village halls, some tiny places and some huge places. So they all were special in their own way. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff, over the years, which has been really nice, just all kinds of little accolades. But the primary one really was, I suppose, was the TG Car Gradam Ceol, which is basically Traditional Musician of the Year, and I suppose that's important because it's not something you can apply for. It's not one of these awards that you put yourself up for and then you get all your friends to vote for you. It's not something like that. It's just simply like an accolade that's given by your peers.
Yeah.
It's what I mean. It's given to you. You don't apply for it. So that was pretty special.
You mentioned Chris before, but we haven't talked about Chris Newman. He's a remarkable performer, musician in his own right. Yeah,
well, he really has played for huge audiences. He did one for something like, 35,000-40,000 people once. Used to with a singer who used to sing with him. Used to tour in France with him. The Bois de Boulogne. It's a huge festival. So he's played for enormous audiences, and he's played with amazing people. I mean, his background is in folk music, and he loves Irish music, obviously. But he used to be involved with swing jazz. He played with Stefan Grappelli, and he played for a while with Diz Disley, who's a stalwart of the English swing jazz scene, I don't know, some years ago. And he played with a comedian called Fred Wedlock.
Right.
He wrote the music for the song that was in the charts that he had called The Old Swinger in Town. So Chris composed the tune to that, and he actually produced the album and everything. So he was part of that whole very, very commercial scene for a few years, and got really fed up with it. That he played with, as I said, a Cornish singer called Brenda Wootton, who was hugely popular in France. She was a massive star to the extent that, that they'd stop at, the entourage, and drivers and everything. Everybody would stop at the petrol station, and people would look in and say, "Oh my God, can I have your?" She was huge in France, but she hardly did any work at all in England. It's really quite extraordinary. But she was a massive star in France. So he spent an awful lot of time touring in France, and then we started to play together, and it was a complete, enormous, huge shift as well. The other thing, Chris is massively interested in is American bluegrass, and again, he's incredibly good at that. And he's just brought out his lockdown project was to arrange and record a whole bunch of partitas and sonatas by J.S. Bach that were written for solo instruments. And he called the album Breaking Bach. And it was released a few weeks ago, and it's been getting some very nice reviews, and it's been played, on the radio quite a bit. So that's very nice. So that was his project, lockdown project. It's literally just released a few weeks ago. So,
Máire, was there a documentary made about yourself and your sister?
Yes, it was actually made in the autumn of 2019 about myself and my sister Nollaig, who plays the fiddle, and it was about our lives really, and our lives in music. And Chris features as well, and so does Nollaig's late husband, Art McGlynn, guitar player, very famous Irish guitar player, and some of our cousins as well playing music with us. But it's about it was a real highlight. It was lovely to have been asked to do it. And it's part of a series on TG Carr. I say TG Carr, but if you were looking at it, it would be TG4. And it's a series that they do about the lives of musicians, and it's called Shame Alayach, which means it's a quotation from an 18th century song. Say, he is my hero, or whatever. It's about. So anyway, that was a real highlight. It was an honour to have been asked.
Well, we're very lucky to have you playing here in Newcastle, the two of you, on the 29th of October. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, very much. I've always brilliant memories of the Newcastle Irish Centre. Well before I met Chris, in the early 80s, I did a little concert in the Newcastle Irish Centre, and a workshop as well. As a long, long time ago. And then when the Newcastle Irish Festival started, I played at the second one, and it was actually televised. There was a television program made of it,
right,
by Tynes TV.
Yep.
And somebody found it online recently and sent me a link. It was kind of nice to see myself. I was singing in that one actually. I don't do much singing anymore, but it was me singing a song. So So, and then we played at the Newcastle Irish Festival a few years ago, and it was absolutely fantastically good fun. It's just, they're an amazing bunch of people.
I know there's a bit of a buzz going around because you're playing again, and I'm looking forward to getting along too. To be honest with you, I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
I mean, it's always such fun. It's always something special about playing the Newcastle Irish Centre. It's a fantastic atmosphere.
It certainly is. It certainly is, and people know how to enjoy themselves.
But
they also recognise quality when they see it, and so we're really looking forward to having you here. And I just want to say a huge thanks. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I love you. When you were describing your gigs and the venues you played, I was just wow. I was there with you. Fantastic.
Yeah, I feel blessed really to have played in so many beautiful places and met such amazing people over the years, so it's it's been a blessing to have such a life. I think
well, you're extremely talented, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I really look forward to hopefully meeting you when you play up here.
I hope so. We're looking forward to it, Mike. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're extremely welcome. So much looking forward to seeing everybody.
A few months ago, I had the pleasure of talking to a wonderful musician, Jacquelyn Hynes, and she's coming up to play in the Tyneside Irish Festival. And I thought it might be nice just to find out what she's doing. So I dropped her a quick call on a Friday evening And she was there and she said, yeah, I'll have a chat with you for a short time. So, hi, are you there, Jacquelyn?
I'm here.
Thank you so much for your time.
Friend Anthony McGrath here.
You were breaking up a little bit there. Did you say Anthony McGrath?
Yep.
Fabulous. Nice to see you, Anthony. Anthony McGrath. Fantastic. It's a name to remember. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing since I last spoke to you. Have you been gigging at all? Have you done anything exciting?
Yeah, I did a lovely little concert last week, playing the piano for a young 75-year-old who came over to Hammersmith to sing the songs of Joseph Locke. We had a Joseph Locke Day at the Irish Cultural Centre.
Oh, wonderful.
So I was playing the piano and he was singing, you know, all those beautiful old songs. I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen, and Galway Bay, and the Goodbye Song, and Violetta, you know, all the songs.
Some of the
we had a show in
songs,
the film. We've been to gigs in Edmonton, which is where I live, called A Month of Sundays. So they have all kinds of things: Polish bands, African bands, steel pan bands, dancing, you know, everything. And we've been on that for every Sunday for the last month, actually, haven't we? Yeah.
So exciting.
And then it's very exciting. And then last night was very exciting because I came around to see Ant and a flute player called Eamon Burke, who is a wonderful flute player, whose dad played in the Ballinakil Cayley band. And they were playing me all sorts of things that you'd never hear that Uncle did and aren't out there, and just beautiful, beautiful music and lovely flute playing. So that's what brings me to this venue, Anthony's Kitchen, today.
Brilliant. Great. Hey, listen, this is just so, I mean, the quality of our conversation is fine, but it's the quality of the technology isn't quite so good. So I'm hoping that if you do play for us, we can still get the essence of what you're doing. But you're playing at the Tyneside Irish Festival. What date have I got down? 2nd of October. And I believe you're going to be doing a flute workshop in the afternoon as well, between 2:30 and 4:00, which is going to be a huge opportunity for some of our local musicians. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes.
And are you looking forward to coming up?
I'm really coming up, Mike. You know, I love Tyneside Irish, and so a great time for everybody, and for Paul, and, you know, especially for Tony. And the first time I met Tony, he whisked me around the dance floor. I have to say, he's a charmer, isn't he?
He certainly is.
I had a wonderful time there writing the music, for this play, the Reminiscence play, Father Casparan, they did with the pensioners. And we brought our Irish Pensioners Choir up to do a play Sally Mulready wrote last year, and we had a ball. We had a sing-song in the hotel when the jury's in. We had a wonderful time. Oh, it's always a wonderful time at Tyneside. So I'm really, really looking forward to being back. I really am. Yeah.
Well, we're really looking forward to seeing you.
Let's
if you're happy to play something, I'd be absolutely overjoyed. And I just want to thank you both so much for your time.
All right, thank you. We'll play Lament for Limerick. Anthony here has just heard this now. He's brilliant. He can play anything, so we'll be fine. And I'd like to dedicate this to my Uncle Sean, who passed away in Clare earlier today. All right.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Here we go. Lament for a Limerick. Thank you, Mike.
Lovely, absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Jacquelyn. Been wonderful seeing you, and we'll see you. Anthony, are you coming to Newcastle too?
I don't know.
Well,
I'll see what I'm doing.
Yeah, we'll see if we can work it out.
See if you can. Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Okay, listen, you take care. Have a great weekend, and thank you so much again for your time.